thought I'd do just kind of a quick overview of what you need to go drag racing. First off, you need a drag strip. Second, you need a car. A lot of drag strips locally or around you guys, you know, if you guys have one, I think for the most part, everybody has a drag strip around them. I mean, I don't know, you might not at all, but I do. There's quite a few around me in California. One of the first things you need is a car. You can drive any car. You can drive your mom's Caravan if you want to. You know, I see Dodge Durangos out there. You see Jeep Cherokees. I mean, like non-SRT versions. You see whatever out there. And you can drag race it. And to tell you the truth, those cars are pretty damn consistent because, I mean, there's not a whole lot of variation on what kind of power they're putting down. Second thing you need is if you're running under 14 seconds, you will need a helmet. It's got to be Schnell helmet, and it also has to be DOT. If the helmet's DOT, you know, up and above that is Schnell, and that's what's required. When you go out, you're going to want to have some closed-toed shoes. You're going to want pants, and I mean that's pretty much it. Some of the other things that you might want to bring is some like shoe polish or a marker that can be easily erased from your windshield. That'll be for dial-in times. So you're gonna get to usually run a couple times your first time out just to get an idea of what your car is running. And then once the bracket racing starts, that's when you'll start with the dial-in. So you may want to change it up just depending on how your car is running. If you're getting really close to that dial-in time, you may want to lower that number if you feel like you're gonna break out, which breaking out is going faster than the time that you posted on your windshield. So after that, you're gonna want a tire gauge. That is very important. All-wheel drive cars, it's still important, but I mean, to me, I'm not really gonna be messing with that. But front-wheel drive cars and rear-wheel drive cars, that is a big limiting factor for traction, taking off out of the line and just digging out of the hole just to get a good launch. When you look at your ticket, you're gonna have a few different things. You're gonna have the tree, and you're gonna have an RT, which is reaction time. That's how quick you react to the light. Depending on what type of tree it is, it might be like the straight 0.00 is, or 0.000 is perfect, or you may, I think it's a sportsman's tree, where it's 0.500 is perfect. So it kind of all depends on what kind of tree you guys have. But you know, the closest reaction time you're gonna get, that is gonna help you in the overall race. Who crosses the end of the line faster? When you dial in your car, one car, if you're slower, you're gonna be taking off first, and the other car is gonna be taking off then thereafter, with approximately that same amount of time in between. So when you get to the end of the line, you guys should be neck and neck if you're actually running the appropriate dial-in. That would almost be like a tied race. The other thing you're gonna wanna look at is your 60-foot time. That is really important. That is how fast you're getting out of the hole. That's your launch, basically. You know, anything under 2s is really good. I think last time in this car, I think I ran a 1.7 or a 1.8. I can't quite remember, but that's pretty good, you know. 1.6 is like real good. But they say, I've heard at least, for every 10th you take off there is 2/10 in the quarter mile. Which I can say is a fact, at least on my last time slip, that was a big determining factor of my overall time. The next one you're gonna get, I think, is after that, I think, what, 100 foot? So that's once you've gone 100 feet. And then you'll have a 8th, which is an 8th mile time. And then after that, you'll have 1,000 foot, and then a 1,320 foot, the quarter mile. So that will determine that. So sometimes if you see online like, oh, my car is running like, 8s or something like that, you're like, what, that car's not running 8s. Sometimes that's, because it's an 8th mile track or something like that, which could still, you could still be running fast on that track, but you gotta put those two things together and figure out what kind of times they're posting. I've only ever raced the quarter mile before. I've never done any 8th mile stuff. I used to come out here, I think it was like in 2000 and gosh, it was probably like 2003. Oh, that's that horrible bump right there. I forgot about that. In 2003, I used to race out here in my Mustang. I have a 1968 Mustang. I did a whole bunch of stuff to that back in the day. And I mean, the quickest I ran out there was like 14 14.082 at 98 miles an hour. That was my fastest trap time, which at the time for me, I mean, was pretty quick. Yeah, I wanted my car to be faster, but I mean, like everybody does, but you know, that was pretty good for what it was. That was kind of my first car out of high school. I had a Ford Ranger, and then I had a 68 Mustang. That was my car that I played with. Now I still have that in the garage. Wiped the cam lobe about 7 years ago, and it's been sitting ever since. Ripped it apart, tore into it, and said, all right, well, now I want to rebuild the motor. And basically, when I rebuild the car, I want it to be badass. So I don't want to half-ass it right now by just doing a fix, because I could probably fix a car for about 600 bucks. But I really, I don't care to fix it that way. It has, it has gotten pieces of metal probably into the motor, from that camshaft, because it actually ground off. So it's got little bits in there, and I just feel like it needs rebuilt. I don't want to mess with it. But anyways, guys, that's kind of some of the stuff you need. When you first go out there, you don't really need to worry about your reaction time. Mostly what you want to do is just make sure you don't red light, and make sure that you're hitting all your shifts, and that you're driving safely out there. The next thing you're going to want to do is, try to dial in on your reaction times, and just try to be consistent. You don't always want to redline your car either. Sometimes shifting sooner is going to put you into a better power band where your torque doesn't drop off, or your peak horsepower is not dropping off, and you're going to actually run a faster time shifting quicker. That was some of the thing I did last time. I was revving the hell out of the car to about 7,000 RPM, and I stayed in third gear over the end of the quarter mile, which is about 100 miles an hour. But this time I'm gonna shift quicker and see how the car goes. I'm gonna try to shift around 6,500 RPM, and just play with that a little bit. See if my trap time goes up, and just kind of play around with that. So some of the other things you can do out there is don't pay attention to the car next to you. That can be very distracting. You see them go, and you're like, oh, and then you look at the light and you're like, oh crap, I was supposed to go, or I wasn't supposed to go. You just need to stick staring at the road ahead of you. So I would just recommend those couple things. Go out there, have fun, don't be intimidated, and you'll have a good time. If you guys have any questions about this, give me some comments and let me know, and I'll try to reply back to you. Other than that, have a good night, guys. Peace out.